Hey guys, what's going on? This is Kelly, the Revit Tutor. I'm just going to go over some curtain wall mullions with you, just give you some quick tips and see if I can help you guys a little bit with it. Mullions basically is something that you add to one of the grids, and the mullions will resize to fit the grid. If you add a mullion to the inside grid, the mullions is centered on the grid, okay? So it's evenly distributed across the width of the grid, okay? On the outsides, it's not the case. They're actually flush with the borders. All right, so let's get into how do we use these, kind of what's the deal, what's the requirement. If you want a mullion, first off, it's within the architecture tab. And an order of operations is that you would need to have a curtain wall. Okay, if you don't have a curtain wall, then there's no way that you're going to be able to just place a mullion out in space because a mullion is hosted to something else. In this case, mullions are hosted to curtain grids. And a curtain grid is hosted to a curtain wall. All right, so just real quick, in the walls of architecture, there are 3 different types out of the box. You have one that's not defined, looks like this, and it's blank, has no grids. The second one is this middle guy. It's blank with divided grids. And then the storefront has all those things plus mullions on it, okay? So to work with mullions themselves, depending on if you place them manually or if you place them through a preset, okay, they're going to behave a little bit differently and it'll give you different allowances, okay? So let's look at this from left to right again, okay? So this blank right here, if you notice on the curtain wall, I select it and it just gives me the entire wall. But if I tab while I'm there and I click on it, then you can see something called System Panel Glazed. That is every one of these divisions also, okay? So you'll notice if I tab and I select, you can now see what I'm talking about. So usually we do that to switch them out to like some other solid panel or maybe a door at some point. Since today we're going with the mullions, what's our focus is going to be the grid lines themselves, because the grid line has to be present in order to host a mullion. So just real quickly, if I want to put on mullions that already has a grid on it, what I can do is I'll go to mullions button, choose the size family that I want. Let's say that I'm going to do the outside edges first. I can click that size, and all I got to do is just simply select them, and notice that they are expanding from the edges inward. But once I start laying them out on these grids on the inner portions, vertically or horizontally, they're going to evenly distribute themselves. I don't want to go with, yeah, I could do a singular grid line if I wanted to. If I click that, then it goes all the way through and takes care of it, or I can do each segment at a time. So I click that button, I go segment, 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 and just keep on doing that, all right? Now, if I'm not happy to do that, then what I can do is Revit will let me do them all at once if I just go for all grids. I push that and then push that. Now, it is going to put every single size the same when you use all grids, okay? So you don't really get a chance to go and choose what they're going to be. So for myself, what I'd like to do is I'd rather just use some rules, okay, to take care of this. So if I select it, and maybe I've got a bunch of these exterior glazings all over the project, if I go ahead and type, then I can go ahead and pick out what's going to happen on the vertical grids, the horizontal grids, as far as their spacing is concerned, and then I can work on which mullions I want. So in this case, let's say that the interior types are going to be just 1 inch. We'll go for the 1.5s, okay? Actually, I'm going to go for 1 inch because it's got a special circumstance I want to talk about. We'll go for that, and then my exteriors will be the typical 2.5 by 5s. Okay, so scroll down the list, and I'm going to do the horizontals now. Get the 1 inch squares on the insides, right there, and right there. Perfect. I'm going to say okay. And as you can see now, I've got thick mullions on my borders, and I got the little tiny mullions on the insides. Okay, one thing I want you to notice that when I turn around to the other side of it, what happens? It looks like the mullion itself is sitting only on one side of the glass. Yes and no. What I mean by that, if I tab, I can see that this piece of glass actually has a thickness of 1 inch, okay? So keep that in mind. Then when I select the mullion itself and I go look at its type properties, I can see that it has a total thickness of 1 inch. However, width on one side and the other side, it splits it in some dimensions right here. So what's going on is it's halfway into the glass, a 1/2 inch buried, and then it's sitting on top of the glass, a 1/2 inch. So that surface is what's determined this width on both sides. Okay, now the thickness of it overall is being determined by that guy, all right? So that's why it's sitting on that side, and on this side, it doesn't show up. And so the oddity of it is, or maybe it's supposed to be this way, maybe it's convenient. So when you look at it from one side of the elevation that it literally is on, you can see it in elevation. But if you go to the side that is the back side of it, where we can see over here, actually be this side, see how you don't really see it, but you can tell it's on the other side of it. This happens in elevation. It literally just hides them out. Okay, so just know that that's going to be kind of a thing that you're going to have to deal with if you're worried about that. All right, corners. See how this corner is just kind of all jacked up, and messed up and whatnot? We can actually change out that corner to be a solid square fill. So what you want to do is if you select one of them and you right click, go to select mullions, and you're going to say on grid line. So what it does is picks all those. Just one side is all you got to do. They are pinned because this particular wall is running under the rules. I'm going to bypass that by unpinning that line. Then I'm going to go ahead and switch it out to either I can do a V corner or a quad. I'm going to go for quad. All right. Now it's going to ask me, hey, can I delete these other ones out of here real quick while I replace them? Yes, delete them. Now I've got a nice solid fill on that. So it looks really nice. And then in plan, it looks like this. All right, so that looks pretty good. All right, just make sure that when you do this, that the forward-facing direction is already facing out like that. And then also make sure that they are corner joined here. If they're not corner joined, this action might give you a weird result and may not work for you. Okay. Also, if you want to customize your panels here, here's a funny thing you can do. If you selected this guy right here and you changed it to literally to another storefront right here, it'll literally fill it in for you. So you can kind of get an idea if you did this just right. You could literally start creating bevels and things like that. So, you know, like if this had the larger borders and you had smaller borders on there, so you could start doing a better way of kind of working out the interior. Now, this guy is mimicking this other grid right here, so that's why it's got the same amount of number of spacing inside of here, so that's what's kind of making it up. We'll go through curtain walls in another video if you want. Just leave your comments and let me know if that's something you want to do. I hope that this answers enough of your questions. If you guys have some questions of some stuff you'd like to do, please let me know. All right, guys. Like and subscribe, and thank you for your support. Take care, guys.